Did you already go live? Oh, yeah. Just kidding.
Hey, hey, everyone. I'm gonna wait to see, this is brand new for both Tricia and I, so I'm gonna wait and see if we get some viewers on here. I'm looking at viewers. Okay, we've got 5 viewers, Tricia. We are live. Hey, hey, everybody. Welcome. We're going to wait to get started while some people stroll on in. So happy to have you guys tonight. I like watching the little viewer ticker go up. 47. 51. Right now there are 1,360 people on.
Stop it.
This is a little bit different, you guys, as far as Zoom goes, because we don't have that energy to feed off of. So we're gonna feed off of each other's energy. This is the first time that both Tricia and I have done a Google Hangout through YouTube. So give us a little grace with our learning curve, but we're super excited to share with you guys. We're going to wait maybe just one more minute to let some people jump on and share our stories and maybe some tips we've been throughout there to hopefully inspire you guys and yeah, to get through this. It's what is it? Today's Wednesday, right?
Yeah, and we're good to go.
Okay. All right. So one thing that we learned from last week is, Tricia, you want to mute yourself and then I'll kind of roll us into it? Okay, awesome. She's muted. Welcome, everyone. We are so happy that you guys are joining us tonight on, what is this, like the second edition of Reaching Higher. I don't know how at the top I am, but I'm certainly happy to share my story with you guys and to share some tips and things that maybe I've learned throughout the way, and hopefully you know, shed some light on some things or just have fun. So hopefully you have something to drink and you're all comfy and you are ready to be inspired. Tricia and I spoke a little bit this week. We kind of wanted to figure out what we were going to talk about, you know, to sit and to talk to a couple hundred people and to share your story is intimidating, right? And it doesn't really matter how long you've been in the business. So what Tricia and I did was we just shared our stories with each other. We kind of identified maybe, I don't know, Tricia, some differences and some things that we feel were big, you know, pivotal moments for us, whether it was an event or kind of an experience that happened within our journey. I guess my goal for tonight is just to let you guys know that we all have those peaks and those valleys in our business, and those valleys are preparing us for what's to come, the abundance that's to come. So welcome. My name is Melissa Yardley. I am an Ambassador Diamond with ItWorks Global. Since I'm already rambling, Tricia, I'll just start in with my story and then go from there. Is that cool? Thumbs up? Yeah. All right, so I live in a little city in Iowa called Cedar Rapids, and I enrolled May 5th of 2013. So my background is I grew up in Iowa. I went and got my undergrad degree as a social worker at Loris, which is about an hour from where I grew up. And then right after there, I moved to the Philadelphia area because I had met a guy in a bar in Chicago, and I kind of liked him. So I decided if I thought that relationship was going to work, I was going to move out to the East Coast. And it ended up working out. We've been married for 12 years, and we have 3 kiddos. And so we had moved back to Iowa. I was working as a county social worker. I had a really good job. The very safe job. I call it like the golden handcuffs, you know, where everything looks really good on paper. So we made awesome salaries, especially for a social worker, because you don't really go into social work, you know, wanting to be a millionaire. but there are a lot of similarities, I think, between social work and what we do with ItWorks. Anyways, and so I was a social worker, 3 small kiddos. Like I said, married. My husband works in corporate America. And we were in the process actually of selling our home, building a new home, and in between, we were going to live with my parents, the 5 of us in my parents' basement. So super busy. And we had, you know, everything looked really good from the outside as far as our marriage and our careers. But kind of what was going on is the money was great, you know, as far as everyone thought, but we had a mortgage just like most people do, and then we had our daycare mortgage. We had 3 kids in daycare, and we were paying around $30,000 a year for daycare, and so there wasn't a whole lot of fun money. You know, taking a vacation meant planning years in advance to be able to afford to do that, unless we wanted to go into debt. And so I was kind of at a point where once a week I would say Kevin and I would meet for lunch, and his side of the table conversation was like, he was so excited, he was super pumped, he was working on this like awesome project, and he loved what he was doing. And as his wife, I was always very happy for him, and I really wanted to support him, but there was this part of me that was sad or jealous or something. I don't know what the right word is, because I didn't have that. It was really hard for me to leave my kids at daycare. In fact, I made Kevin take the kids in the morning because I would cry and the kids would cry and I would be late for work every day. So I was like, you know what, you do drop off, and then I'll be like the superhero who picks them up at the end of the day and they run to me. Yeah, that's the part of the daycare thing that I want. And I would cry when he had to go back to work and I had to go back to work in the parking lot because I didn't love my job. And I thought, you know, at 30-some years old, like, what the heck? I thought that, you know, by my early 30s, I would know what I was going to do with my life. I would know what I was supposed to be doing and where God had called me. And I just, you know, you have that like that nagging sense in your stomach where you know that something isn't right. You know that there's something more that you can be doing, but you have no idea what that is. And with a daycare and, you know, a home mortgage and student loans and all of that stuff that we have, and 3 small kids that depended on me, it wasn't time now for me to figure out what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And so my enroller, fast forward a little bit, had been posting before and after pictures on Facebook. And I had seen them and I kind of rolled my eyes at them and I was like, oh, geez. What is she doing now? Like, I'm just going to send her a message and I'm going to tell her she can come to the gym with me. We're going to go work out because I don't know what these wraps are, but it's like some sort of crazy voodoo stuff. We'll go to the gym. And so I messaged her and I was like, what is this? What are you doing? And she gave me a little bit more information. And then I went from like being skeptic and still being skeptical, but I was like, well, that doesn't work, but I still want to try it. And she said, great, because I'm having a party tonight. I was like, oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm not going to your party and hanging out with a bunch of people that I don't know. That sounds great and super fun, but I'm just going to not do that. So I said, what time is your party? I'll come over before that when no one is there and kind of be what I guess we call a closet rapper. I went over there. She wrapped me actually in her photography studio. I bought a wrap from her and I became a loyal customer right then and there. And so I was wrapping in the bathroom with the door locked, and my husband had no idea for like the next 3 weeks. I'm wrapping. He doesn't know what's going on in the bathroom. And you guys, I'm talking to her and I'm like, I don't know if they're working. And she's like, well, why don't you just send me your pictures? So, you know, the magic happens when you see the side by side. And I sent her my pictures and she sent them back. And I was hiding in the bathroom when she messaged me back, and my jaw literally dropped to the ground. Because after having 3 kiddos, you know, our bodies change a little bit and you see yourself naked in the mirror every day, whether you want to or not. And I couldn't believe my results. And so we had a little conversation there, and she said, you know what, I'm going to be doing this. I have this party. And I said, you know what, I'm intrigued. Like, I'm willing to listen. I told my husband finally what was going on, what I had been doing. And I said, I'm not going to make any decisions. This is crazy. I get it. At that point, my enroller had gotten the $10,000 good bonus. So I knew that there was something behind it. So I was willing to listen, and I was already buying the products. You know how that goes. So he said, okay, well, just get more information. Don't make a decision. Come home, and then we'll decide together. So I went and I signed up, and then I came home and told him. And that was a Sunday night. And I remember like being kind of excited. And then the last feeling that I had when I went to bed that night and when I woke up in the morning was like fear and anxiousness and regret, and like, what did I just do? Like, what was I thinking? Almost like when you go out and you have a fun night out with your girlfriends or whatever, and you come home and you're like, what happened? That's kind of how I felt. It was almost like an outer body experience. And so I got ready for work that day, and I said to my husband, why did I do that? Like, that was $99. And he's like, honey, you know, I love you, but we've spent $99 on a trip to Target when, you know, they had boyfriend tees in every color for $7, and you thought you needed all 12 colors. So we've done that before. But what he said to me was, when you do something, you do it with your whole heart. So I have no doubt that whatever happens with this, you will give it everything that you have. And I loved that he said that and that he understood that. He liked the fact, you guys, as a man, I got to work as a man. My husband, he wasn't hearing me complain. He was seeing that I was working. He was seeing that I was coming home with wrap cash. I made over $1,000 in wrap cash my first month, because I was wrapping people. People were meeting me at my office during my lunch break, and we were wrapping them in the family bathroom at my office building. I was exchanging cash for wraps in the parking lot. I was wrapping them in my minivan. I was meeting them at Starbucks in between client visits. I was meeting them for coffee. Anything that I could do, because like, what's more rewarding than having that cash in your hand right away? And so it kind of like, I got a high from it, you know, and I wanted to do it more and more. And then I started going to the meetings that I swore I never would, and I was more excited about those than I was at my job. And so, you know, something that I thought was kind of a joke, the joke ended up really being on me. That first month, my paycheck was crazy. I went emerald in like 3 weeks. And the next month I went double diamond, so I earned a good bonus, a get out of debt bonus. And, you know, a lot of conversations happened between my husband and I where I thought, you know, I thought initially that this money would pay for me to go to graduate school. And Mackenzie asked me, she was like, awesome, okay, so you're gonna go to graduate school. What are you gonna do with, you know, what kind of degree? And I was like, oh, I don't know. That's just what people do. So I'll just get like a graduate degree and then I'll just figure it out. And so what ended up happening is, you know, that, I don't know, I guess that my journey with ItWorks ended up being, you know, God's plan for me all along. And I think we hear that all the time. And, you know, our plan B has always been God's plan A. And it took a lot of skepticism on my part and probably from other people. And it took investments in my business. You know, there were nights, I was talking about this last night with someone, where I would be laying in bed, messaging people, telling them about the products, telling them about the business, telling them about how much fun I was having, trying to learn more, like going on YouTube and watching videos and listening to calls and like doing anything that I could, because it was like an addiction. It was like this crazy addiction, and I couldn't get enough, and I was so excited about it. And I would look at the clock and I'm like, holy crap, I have 48 minutes before my alarm is going to go off and I have to go to work. And I didn't care because I was loving it. I was loving what I was doing, and that's when I realized that nothing else mattered. Nothing else mattered what anyone else thought, because I had the skeptics too. I mean, along the course of my journey, I would see people out and about that had seen my Facebook post, and they shared their opinions. But the amazing thing about it is that their opinions, you know, still don't pay my bills. Many of their skeptical opinions have turned into belief, and they've become some incredible loyal customers and awesome rock stars on my team. And I get to be home with my kids. We paid off both of our student loans, hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans for both of us, both of our cars. We put a lot more money down on our home. We paid for things like the appliances and window treatments, and we've been able to give back so much more. And I just feel like I have a piece of me. Like, I always try to explain, like, if you've ever ran a race, you know, and you're doing like all the prep for it and you're really nervous about it, and then you finish that first 5K and you're like, you like that exhilaration. You're like, oh my God, I totally did it. Like, I can do this again and again and again. And that's the feeling that I get with ItWorks, and not just when I was promoting, but I get that every time. I had a new loyal customer today, and I felt that same way that I did like day one when I took the wrap off and I saw results. And so I know that I'm in the right place doing the right thing, and I've totally accepted that it looks a little bit different than I initially thought. I don't think we ever sit, you know, playing dress up when we're little girls saying that we want to be an ItWorks girl. Until we are, and that's what my kids are saying now. So it has been super awesome. So, all right, Tricia, do you want to go into your story, or do you want to ask me some questions? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't care either way. I can tell a little bit of my story, and then we can kind of mingle them together. Okay. First of all, I think it is so cool that you just said we don't sit and like think about how we want to be rap girls when we're little, because I just had this conversation with my daughter just no more than 2 days ago, where we were talking about what she wanted to be when she grew up. And she said, well, I'm going to join your team. I was leaving for a team dinner, so it was Monday night. And she's like, well, when I grow up, I'm going to be a rap girl and I'm going to join your team. And I was like, well, you better join my team. And my son was like, well, if you don't join your team, she's probably never going to talk to you again. And it's this, like, both my kids know, like, this is the family business. Like, this is the legacy that's, you know, it's just, I don't know, it's crazy, because I definitely never thought, oh, I'm going to be a rap girl. Never. But anyway, okay, so my background. So my name is Tricia McDonald, and I'm a presidential diamond. And I joined this business in August of 2012. So it's been a little over 4 years, and I just, can't believe I'm even like still sitting here talking about this, because when I did join up, it kind of just fell into my lap. Like, I wasn't looking for it. So my husband worked managing Verizon stores. So he was retail, he was gone holidays, nights, weekends, like you name it, the guy was never home. And he worked an hour from our house. So it was quite the commute. And most days, you know, he would go to work before the kids woke up, and then he would come home after the kids were already in bed. So there were weeks where 4 days would go by and he hadn't seen either of our children, which was like just normal for us. Like, looking back now, I'm like, oh, why on earth were we okay with that? But it was just, that was just life. That was life in retail sales. That's what paid our bills. That's what we knew. We had credit card debt up to our eyeballs. Like, we didn't live paycheck to paycheck. We lived paycheck to credit card to paycheck to tax return. Like, there was no extra. We were barely surviving. Like, we could put food on the table and we could pay all of our bills, but had it not been for credit cards to rely on, like, that, it just would not have been possible. I don't know what we would have done. But anyway, we weren't, like, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I have been since the day we found out I was pregnant with my oldest. Like, my husband grew up in a family where the man works, and that's life. That is how it goes. And I didn't grow up that way by any means. My mom was a single mom raising 3 kids, so it was quite the opposite in my house. But my husband, Sam, was very adamant. You're gonna be a mom now, so you stay home. I got this. And there were days where I was like, oh my gosh, he does not got this. But we were determined to keep me home with the kids. And so we did without vacations. We did without dinners out. We did without new clothes. We made it work somehow. So I wasn't looking for a job. I wasn't looking for a way to make an extra income or money on the side. But what I was doing was selling all of my kids' old stuff on yard sale pages and on Craigslist and anywhere where I could. I remember we had bins and bins of clothes that my kids had outgrown, most of which were hand-me-downs because we couldn't afford a ton of stuff. Or my oldest when I was 21. So we were babies having babies. So, I mean, there wasn't a lot of new for us. But I remember we had bins and bins of clothes, and I was posting on Craigslist, which looking back, like I was young and just like a little blonde girl at home by myself, like inviting strangers into my house. And I would post that if they brought a grocery bag, they could fill it up for $20 and just take what they needed, because I just needed $20. So Facebook yard sale pages, and mind you, this was 4 years ago, and thankfully rules have changed, so don't go posting on those pages or anything, but back then it was allowed. And so this girl, my sponsor, who I didn't know at the time, she just happened to live in the same city as me, had posted something about a skinny wrap on the yard sale page. An after picture, and I thought, this lady has lost her mind. Like, there is no way that some little patch plastic thing she put on her belly and it made her so skinny. Like, not possible. And I said, stop scamming people. Not cool. Take your voodoo and your hocus pocus and get out of here. Like, we're trying to run a business here with our $20 grocery bags of kids' clothes. And so respond on the comments, but she did send me a message, and she said, I totally understand where you're coming from. I thought it was baloney too. Let me wrap you. And I said, lady, it's like, there is not a chance that I'm paying you to try a product that I know is not going to work. Like, if it worked, we'd all know about it. No, not happening. And so she said, totally get that too. Have a party, have 4 people over, and I'll wrap you free. You won't even have to pay for it. Okay, yeah, great. Talk to you later. That's the end of it. Like, I'm not going to respond. She's not going to respond. Crazy lady. It's gone. It's over. Well, a couple months later, she sent me a message again and said, hey, are you ready to have that party? And I was like, oh my gosh, this lady is relentless. Like, I think her products are crap. And no, I'm not ready to have a party. And she said, 4 people. Just have 4 people over. And I was like, this is the only way I'm going to get her to shut up. Fine. I'll ask my friends. They're not going to want to come. And then will you leave me alone? And she was like, sure. So we create the dang event. Like, I don't even know what I was thinking, but I said, yep, okay, sure, let's do it. Create the event. And I had 9 people RSVP within like minutes. I was like, crap, like now I have to do it. So we did it, and we had the party, and that night, every single person saw results. And I was like, holy moly. And so before the party was over, I said, okay, here's the deal. If I sign up as a distributor, will all these people pay me, or are they still gonna pay you? And she said, no, they're your friends, they'd be your customers, they'd pay you, we'll work out the wrap details later. I said, great, sign me up, because I know that I can spend $99 and make $225 from these 9 people. And I'm not a mathematician, but I know that I'll come out ahead, and then we'll never speak to this again. And so that was honestly my plan when I signed up, is just cash the difference and then, kiss my stranger friend goodbye. And so it just kind of, yeah.
Hold the phone. Okay. I just like having a moment here because, are you getting feedback? Is it echoing?
No, I can't hear an echo. Do you want me to mute myself while you talk?
Yeah, mute you real quick because I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
One of the things that I just like want to hold the phone for a second is our experiences were completely different. The person that I saw was someone that I knew. She was our family photographer. She saw all of this because she was in the birthing room when I had my 3rd child. So we were really close. And then, so I have that story, and I found her through social media. So had she not been posting, I never would have, would have known. And then your parallel is a complete stranger, a stranger that you were actually super skeptical to the point where you told her what she was doing is a scam, which I think some of us are either afraid of or have maybe had happen along the line. And because she followed up with you and because she was persistent, not only were you selling things on Craigslist to strangers, but you decided to have a stranger in your house and let her have a party with your friends. And I just want like everyone to understand that, because we're so freaking worried about what other people think. And you know, the world is so big and the ItWorks market is so freaking tiny, you guys, that it doesn't have to be someone that you know, but it can be, or it can be a complete stranger if you're, you know, open to explaining what our products do and not just becoming offended right away. And if you are consistent with them and saying, when are you going to have that party? When are you going to have that party? I'll go away if you have that party. If you do that, and if you're persistent, you might have a top 100 presidential diamond. I just think that that's awesome. So I just like had a big aha moment. I think that we get so nervous to reach out to people that don't immediately like a post, or when we're posting and sharing what we're doing, if people don't like it or don't comment on it, we think that people aren't watching, and that's not the case. So I love that you you spoke out against it, and then you ended up, you know, having a party with 9 people who all saw a result. That's awesome. I need to find a Tricia McDonald. All right, I'm gonna stop talking.
You're so funny. Yeah, no, like, I mean, not only was I like a skeptic and called her out on it, but like, I was not nice. Like, you know how it's so much easier to sit behind a computer and say like whatever you want to say? That was me. I was sitting behind my computer saying all kinds of terrible, nasty things that I just, and now I'm like embarrassed about. But I can also be more understanding when people treat me that way. You know, it's so easy for some people, I think, to, when they get those negative responses, like you said, just shut down and not know what to do or how to act, or just back off and leave them alone and run away. And so now I know, like, that's okay. Like, they don't understand it. And like Pam says, they just don't have a brain cell for it. Like, that's okay. We can still work with them. Like, they are still a prospect. They, you know, a little more nudging than the average Joe. So anyway, so I signed up and I thought I'd never talk about it again. And in fact, I told my husband what I had done, and he just said, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Like, you're crazy. Because I was always the girl who would host whatever party for whoever because I wanted free stuff. So, I mean, the pure romance sex toy parties, and I don't know if I can say that on here, but I did. So like, I hosted those parties. I hosted candle parties, jewelry parties, like bag parties, makeup parties, like you name it, I was hosting, because I couldn't afford to buy it, but I wanted the stuff. So I'll just invite everybody over and, you know, I'll reap the benefits. But I would never, I always swore, because you know, when you host a party, and I mean, I think even some of us do this too, and if you're not, you probably should, but you try to get that host to become a distributor, because look, you have all these friends that are interested, you should join my team. So I got that from every company, you should join my team. And I always said, absolutely not. Like, I am so shy, so introverted, awkward. I have that resting face that nobody likes. Like, I would never, ever, like, the only thing I've ever sold is Girl Scout cookies, and I was terrible at it, and everybody likes those. So like, sales, not my thing. Talking to people, absolutely not. Like, never. So when I told my husband what I had done, he was like, that's the worst idea ever. Like, you spent money that we don't have on it. You're selling something. Like, you're not gonna be able to sell anything to anybody. Like, this is just the worst thing you could have possibly done. And so I kind of am really thankful that he had that attitude, because it pushed me to prove him wrong. Like, after that party, I truly thought, like, we're never going to talk about this again. Like, this never happened. Great. Those people are all my customers. I'll get paid on them for 3, 4, 5 months, however long they keep ordering. And then that's just it. Like, it's done. I'm not going to post. I'm not going to wear a shirt. I'm not going to buy anything green. Like, for me. And then when he was so adamant about how stupid the decision was, and because anyone that knows my husband, like, probably doesn't even believe me, because he's the most passive, like, whatever you want, babe. Like, yeah, you're going to Cuba, have a great time. Like, bring me some cigars. Like, I can literally walk out the door right now and say I'm going, you know, to Europe for a month, and he'd be like, bring me a souvenir. But I said I'm going to sell skinny wraps, and he was like, oh my gosh, like, no way. And just, I remember standing in the kitchen screaming back and forth at each other. And we don't fight about anything because he doesn't care about anything, but he was just screaming at me about how stupid this was and how I'm never gonna make any money. Anyone that says they make money is lying to me. Like, this whole thing is just such a scam. And I said, just wait. I'm gonna open my own bank account and I'm not gonna share it with you. Like, I don't even know why I said it, but I said it, and his response was, good luck paying your half the bills. And I was like, ooh. Like, now what do I do? And so I think it really pushed me to run and run hard. And I think had he not had that attitude, I think I'd probably still be sitting in the same kitchen crying over the same bills that we couldn't afford to pay. And I think so many times people say, like, oh, my spouse doesn't support me, or, oh, like, my husband doesn't want me to do it, or my boyfriend won't let me sign up, or whatever. We all hear that. And, like, I get it. Like, 100% get it, but you have two choices, and you can either let it push you and be that fire in your belly that fuels you every day. Well, I guess I'll stay where I am. And I think I thank him every year I'm on our ItWorks anniversary. I'm like, thank God, like, another year that has gone by that you, but like the beginning, oh my gosh, he was horrific.
Well, and I think that's important for people to know. One thing that I have really tried to be more open about is just being more transparent. You know, I think that social media, we understand that we're running a business. We talk all the time about, you know, don't air your dirty laundry. Talk to your enroller, go offline, not online, you know, all those different things, because you're running a business, and your social media outlets are one of the biggest ways for you to reach the most people. And we all know that. And so, you know, we see highlight reels, and we see highlight reels of people who have been successful within this business. And oftentimes, especially if we're picking up once their success has already hit in, we don't necessarily know the mountains that they had to climb to get to where they were, or what kind of life happened before they even joined ItWorks to, you know, kind of grow and mold them into the person that they were when they joined. And so one of the things, like, that you and I were talking about, that, you know, I alluded a little bit to the fact that Kevin was supportive. You know, he still to this day, he works full time because, like I said earlier, he never asked, you know, him to give that up. Just like he would never ask to give me, for me to give up this passion. And so we have that understanding, and that's what works for us. And that's one of the things that I love about ItWorks, is that there is no mold. And so there's all kinds of different couples, single moms, single dads, you know, families working this business completely different. His way of supporting me is, you know, putting the girls to bed tonight so that I could jump on this Google Hangout, whatever we're calling YouTube Live, and you know, the laundry and different things like that, and having those conversations with me. I mean, he is my business partner through and through, and my biggest supporter, even though he might not know how to log into eSuite or how to move a loyal customer or anything like that. And for a while, that was hard for me, because I had seen a lot of power couples in the business that work the business mutually, like, exclusive together all the time. But we have come to a point where we love our life and we love each other. And because we love each other, we know what works for us. But I was wondering, so, you know, you talked about how Sam was not super on board from the beginning. What happened, like, in the 4 years that you've been with ItWorks, or what do things look like now? Is he 2 thumbs up with ItWorks, or what?
Yeah, by now he's finally on board. So I back up just like a little bit, I guess. So I went Ruby in 2 weeks, like, super freaking fast, like, right out the gate. And PS, there was no Ruby bonus, so y'all don't need that. It's still exciting. But so Ruby in 2 weeks, and then the next month I lost it, like, back down to distributor. And so I joined in August, went Ruby in August, and then September paid as distributor, October paid as distributor, November I went Emerald. I can do this. Like, back on track. And that was when the $10,000 good bonus was out, and they kept extending it. And so they kept giving me like another chance to get it. And I still like couldn't hit it. So defeating. Like I so get that. But then, okay, so after I think about this, so Emerald in November, and then by December I lost it again. And at this time, conference was in January. Mine had been before, like we were all kind of new. And so everyone was saying, go to conference, but it wasn't even anybody, it was like on the opportunity calls, just like kind of how you said, you were listening to all these calls and soaking up everything that you could. I was doing the same. I was on every opportunity call, every show me the money call, every corporate call, like I could get my hands on. I was in all of this. Mark and Pam just kept saying, conference is coming, you gotta come to conference. And I was like, okay, I can't afford that. Like, I mean, I live in Arizona, it's in Florida, like that's the whole country. Like we don't travel, I don't have miles, like my credit cards are maxed out. Like I don't know how to do that. But somehow figured it out, crammed 6 girls in a hotel room, packed peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Like I made it work. So I had booked all this stuff for conference, but by December, I had already decided I was quitting. Like it was done. It wasn't for me. I'd gotten to Emerald and lost it. Like it wasn't paying me at Emerald average. Like I saw that pay chart and thought, Emerald, okay, $1,100. My next check, babe, don't worry, you're gonna get on board because I'm gonna make $1,100. And then it's like nowhere close. I'm still hating on me. And he's like, whatever, you go to Florida and, have a great time because I love you, but this business is stupid and you're quitting anyway. So, so I went to conference already deciding, paid as executive by this point, I'm done, I'm out. Like this business isn't for me, but I could use a weekend getaway and it's already paid for, so we'll make it work. I didn't have anyone on my team going. Like my team was now because nobody's still with the business from then, but like they were pretty worthless. Like it wasn't, there were no shining rock stars. But so 60 days after that first conference, I was double diamond and had earned that $10,000 good bonus. So like,
okay, so
everything.
Okay, wait. So you're like, I'm executive, I'm quitting, and then 60 days later, I'm double diamond. So what the heck happened at conference something happened in between executive, I'm quitting, and double diamond. So back up. What happened at conference?
I can't even like explain it. I can't answer that question. Like I don't know what happened. I know I cried a lot. And I know I met a lot of amazing people, and I know that I heard Mark like speak just like wisdom into me. Like I don't know, like my team asked me the same thing, like, why do I have to go? What can they possibly say that you haven't already said? Like, I know, work your business, like, hooray, but I can't even explain like what it was. I don't know what happened, but I know that I left not only with a completely different mindset for my business, but just my life in general. Like, and it sounds so stupid and cliche to say like that event changed my life, but like that's exactly what happened. Like had I not gone to that event, I would have quit. I had already checked out and my life would be completely different than it is right now. But I am going to answer your question about Sam and when he got on board. Like I'm getting there, I promise. But so by that point, when I hit double diamond, I've never lost a rank since. Like that beginning was like a roller coaster on and off and on and off. But from that point that I hit double, there has never been a time when I've dropped down again. But so I went double in March, and Sam, my husband, was the diamond for my double. So I went double, he went diamond. We both earned the $10,000 good bonus. I remember sitting in my office and I said, babe, you just went diamond. And he was like, cool. Like he didn't care. Like he was seeing money come in and he still was the hater. Like, he was still anti. On my 1-year anniversary, I went triple. And that was the moment. Like, I was making $1,000 a month. And that's when he was finally like, okay, what are these products? Like, what is this stuff? Like, tell me a little bit more. And so that was the point when he started using Relief. And because he's super active, like the extreme opposite of myself. Like, I will sit on the couch all day and binge watch Netflix and eat popcorn and just shovel by the handful. And he wakes up at 4 a.m. to go do triathlons and hike mountains and hit the gym and run 15 miles. Like, we are so opposite. All of his life, and his knee has always been awful. And so he started taking Relief after I hit triple, and he swears by it. Like, my knee doesn't hurt anymore. I can go run. I can literally do a triathlon and not feel any pain. And so that was kind of the turning point for him. Like, it wasn't even so much my wife makes 10 grand a month. It was, my wife has this weird product called Relief, and it actually gives me relief. Like, that was for him what did it. And so then 2 months later, he quit his job, and we've been full-time ever since. So yes, he is 2 thumbs up, to say the least, but kind of like you, like, he's not, he doesn't log in at eSuite. He doesn't know how to move a customer. He doesn't know anything like behind the scenes, but he'll pass out Blitz cards, and he will talk about the business all day long and then send them to me. He's really good at getting me contact information, and he is the best house husband around. All the dishes, all the cooking, all the cleaning, packing lunches, pick up and drop off from school. Like, he is Mr. Dad for sure, and that is his place in our business. And like you said, had he not been able to do all of that, I wouldn't be able to do all of this. I was doing all of that, but then also, because he was unsupportive, on the couch next to him and work my business. I waited, we would go to sleep together. He'd pass out, start snoring. I'd get out of bed, go back downstairs, send all my messages in the middle of the night. Nothing ever happened. So, and like a complete 180, 360, however that saying goes, like, totally different.
That's just so amazing to me, because one of the things that you said, like, when you first started telling your story, was that he was, I don't know what the term is, like, old school, where you stay home and I go to work and I make the money. And in your last sentence that you just shared with us, he's Mr. Mom, like, he's doing all of those things. And I guess one of the reasons you guys that we just wanted to share a little bit of difference in that, and really kind of, zone in on some of those struggles, Tricia, especially with your story, is I don't want you guys to think that success comes without struggle. Success comes with perseverance. And, Tricia, which I didn't even know that part of your story, prior to going to conference, had you quit, think about how different your life would be. And I just, that really resonates with me, because I think that, Mark and Cindy talk all the time, and Cindy said something so profound that has just really been in the forefront of my mind, that I hope that I don't cry when I say this, is that just because God leads you to something, you guys, just because you come upon something that is so, like, indescribable and great, because I believe anyways that God is phenomenal, doesn't mean that it's going to come easy, and it doesn't mean that it's not going to come without bumps in the road, and it doesn't mean that it's going to come out with without skeptics, or without having to build your business back up. But the thing that I heard you say, Tricia, and I absolutely believe that. I think that some of my biggest challenges actually happen. My business grew really, really quickly. So 4 months into the business, I was triple. 10, I was president. 2 years, I went ambassador. And I think that some of my struggles came after ambassador. Some of my biggest, roller coaster moments have happened then. And just because God has led us here doesn't mean that it's meant to be easy, but it sure is worth it. I don't know. I was sitting there tonight. My girls, Wednesday night, my girls take dance, and they both take their first class at the same time. So I can sit in the hallway and I can see both of them dancing, and just like pure joy on their face. They don't care. They're goofy. They're having fun. They're with their friends. And that's something, A, that we wouldn't have been able to afford to do. We certainly would not have been able to have our kids involved in the activities that they're in with the peace of mind that we have. But I don't know that I would have been able to be there to watch them do those things. And so if you ask me, you know, not getting woken up by the alarm clock because I was already awake, messaging people, or you know, confronting some of my fears was worth it, abso-freaking-lutely. And you know, the abundance of the harvest that is coming for 2017 and the amazing vision that Mark and Cindy have put out there for 2017, I want to be at the front. I want to be in the front of the line to get on the ride. And I know that because I know how far this business has brought us. I mean, we always, you know, financially, of course, but spiritually and just within my marriage. And just hearing your story of someone who's like, no, you stay home, I will work, to someone who is like, babe, you are rocking it out, I will pack the kids' lunch. Like, that's an awesome testimony to the amazing opportunities that ItWorks can offer us if you're willing to work the business. You know, our products are awesome, but you have to take them. And the business is amazing, but you have to work it.
Okay, so I want to ask you something. So you said you grew super quickly, which, I mean, that timeline that you just gave, like, yeah, that's a lightning fast, which is so impressive. But how did you, like, working full time, did you just have like the world's largest network? Like, how were you able, like, where did you find people, or were you just up all hours of the night, every night? Like, how did you grow quickly while working full time?
I just didn't bullshit around. I mean, I don't know, like, there's no magic thing. I think about, I got up earlier, I stayed up later. Instead of watching Real Housewives and scrolling Facebook, I was messaging people while I was watching Real Housewives. You know, I was sneaking off to the bathroom in the bathroom stall and following up with messages and reaching out to people. And I'll tell you what, like, when I signed up and I had that sick pit in my stomach on Monday morning when I had to go to work, like, I was almost like, I knew that I was going to be humiliated. Like, I was like, I can't believe that I did this. What are my friends going to think? What are my parents going to think? Like, what are my parents going to think? Because I went to college and, like, you know, I've always felt like some of this pressure from, like, always doing everything right. I went to college, I got married, I had kids, I got a job, I got a house, blah, blah, blah. And now all of a sudden I'm doing this crazy, crazy thing. What is everyone going to think? But I was having so much fun that I stopped caring. And so I would message people in the morning. I mean, the biggest thing that I did was I put alerts in my phone, and it's not like any sort of aha, like, super amazing organizational system, but just putting alerts in my phone that said, okay, I talked to Tricia today. I told her I was going to follow up with her and talk to her on Wednesday at 10 a.m. And I put an alert in my phone and it went off. And then I was hiding to the bathroom. I literally, you guys, would take my phone and pretend that I was pulling a file out of my file cabinet in my cubicle, and I was like messaging people, because our cubicle walls only came up to here, so they weren't like even legit cubicles. They were like for really short people. Like, you could stand up and you could still see everything. And I just made it work. I mean, there were nights, I remember a night where we were living with my parents, and my parents did not understand what was happening. All they saw was that we were living in the basement while we were building this house, and I wasn't home a lot. And they didn't like that. They didn't understand why Kevin was home and I wasn't. They didn't understand why Kevin was coaching Jack's baseball and I was at a party, and there was a babysitter watching my girls in the basement while my parents were upstairs. And so I had all of those things on the line, and I had put everything out there, and I just felt like this desire to want to show all of those people that it was worth it. And it was. And just, I think, like, you know, when Mackenzie created my Facebook event, she made it public, and I, like, wanted to crawl underneath my desk, because I wasn't going to tell anyone, right? I wasn't going to tell anyone. I just was going to get some free stuff, like you said. And then all of a sudden, like, a friend in Chicago that I went to college with is like, what what is this crazy wrap thing? Like, are you doing like a Pampered Chef type of thing? The wraps, what's happening? And I like started to panic. But I think I had like 12 or 14 loyal customers within like a day or two of my business. And when that started happening, I just stopped caring about what other people thought. And, you know, I still like have those fears, but I do a 6 list. So I still do a 6 list every morning. It's, again, not scientific. It's a Post-it pad in my nightstand, and I write down 6 things that I need to do for my business the next day before I respond to anything that's everyone else's agenda. So I don't open my emails. I don't open any private messages unless it's someone who I've been talking to about becoming a loyal customer. It's a new distributor or it's a potential distributor. I do all of that stuff first. So if my daughter, like today, decides she doesn't want to, you know, go to preschool, I can be like, okay, sweet, because I already did at least 6 things for my business before you even woke up, so I'm ready to rock out this day at the pumpkin patch with you, and I can do that. So I was doing those things, making them non-negotiable, you know, just like a doctor appointment. I had to get those things done, and I was having fun. And I think it's like one of those things like, okay, like you come home from work and you're super tired, and you're like, oh, I can't wait to just get out of these clothes, and like, I just want to eat ice cream and I want to go to bed. And then you get a text message from your girlfriend and she's like, oh, I had a really bad day. Do you want to go out and grab some drinks? And you're like, yeah. And all of a sudden you're putting on like your cute clothes and you're doing your hair and you're putting on your makeup because you want to make it a priority. All of a sudden you forget that you had a bad day at work. All of a sudden you forget that you were tired and that you have a super early meeting the next day. And that was how I felt about this business. I loved the people. I loved learning. I love that people were happy for other people. That's also not something that I had in my job. So like a lot of times when someone else would be successful or have a great experience in my job, people weren't really happy for them. It was almost like they were jealous or they were kind of annoyed or they would roll their eyes. When I came to ItWorks, people were celebrating my success, and I could celebrate other people's success and not have to feel bad about it. And so I think it was just a combination of all of those different things where I enjoyed it, so I made it more of a priority. And it wasn't, I mean, there were nights, yeah, you guys, I didn't tuck my kids into bed. I put the kids in our van once, and Kevin was going to take them out to eat, and I'm closing the door, and it clicked with the kids that I was staying because I was going to do a wrap party, and they were going, and they all started sobbing. And I stood in the driveway, and I started crying, and I was like, I hope that I know what the hell I'm doing with this wrap thing, because my kids are all driving away in tears because I'm going to go put this wrap on some people. And I mean, that moment to me, like, pretty much sums it all up. Like, I did okay. Like, that was the right decision. It wasn't an easy decision. It was an investment or a sacrifice or whatever you want to call it. But my daughter is going to be 5 in a month, and she doesn't remember ever being in a daycare. The only thing that she remembers is being home with me. And for me, that was what I wanted. And that staying home full time does not have to be your goal. Your goal can be to travel more. Your goal can be to pay off debt. Your goal can be to get out of the house or whatever it is. But I think it's important for us to understand that this is an opportunity that doesn't have any limits. I've never seen Mark and Cindy, Pam, Mike put a limit onto what this business can do. You know, when people are buying islands and paying for, you know, cash for homes that cost multiple millions of dollars, for a company that has a 501c where we are able to give back and go as an organization and represent how much we believe and we want to make a priority, changing the world, like, that is something that I'm proud to be a part of. The money is awesome. Yeah, I'll take it for sure. I'm not done. But the people, I'm proud of the people that I work with. And I don't know that I could have said before that I was proud the way that I am now. So I don't know. Does that answer your question? Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
I didn't have, I forgot you asked, like, I didn't have a network. I think I probably had like 300, maybe 350 friends on Facebook when I started. And I just, I stopped being afraid. So if I saw, the people you may know, I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen them in forever. And I was like, I don't know them. Now I'm like, yep, I know them. Yep, I know them. Yep, I think I know them. I'm not as afraid. Tonight, we live in Cedar Rapids. So Mackenzie, my enroller, is an ambassador, and Jamie Rosecrans, her enroller, is an ambassador. And we all live in the city of Cedar Rapids, which is maybe 150,000 people. And tonight, like I said, I was at my daughter's dance class, and the people next to me, I had my ItWorks baseball hat on. And our daughters took dance together, our dance camp this summer, and they just like immediately bonded. And the funny thing about it, you guys, is not only is our city small, but they live at the end of my street. And I'd never met them before, and we've talked to them on and off, and they were both there, husband and wife, and they asked me, it was kind of intense tonight. They asked me a lot of questions about ItWorks, if it was real, and then they were like, well, I guess it is, because you sold your house and you're moving and like your home and you're doing all of these things. And she sent me a text message after we left dance, and she wants to know more. And, had the fear of like, oh, we're saturated, or, oh, there's only 150,000 people in this town and there's 3 ambassadors. Everyone's heard of ItWorks, or everyone's tried ItWorks, or everyone's done this and that. And you guys, in the hallway, no one else was talking. So there were legit at least 10 or 12 people in that hallway listening to our conversation. And even after 3.5 years and having amazing ups and, and downs too in this business, like I was sweating, because everyone could hear what we were talking about. And all of those fears, they come in and out of, people are skeptic, and are they rolling their eyes at me? She just coughed. Like, is she coughing because what I said? Or like, does she just have something in her throat? All of that stuff. So we all still like experience that. But my old job didn't give me the levels of emotions that I get to experience with ItWorks. And that's because I know that I have a passion for this that I just didn't have in my previous life. So I think that that in itself is pretty awesome.
Okay, so I totally agree. I think all of that is so awesome. I think, so before, I live in Texas now, but we just moved here last year, and we were in Arizona, and I thought the same thing. And I totally get Cedar Rapids is much smaller than Phoenix, Arizona. Totally get that. But Phoenix has like, I don't know, like a bajillion ambassadors, like crazy. And so people, especially I think a lot of my team was always like, well, my neighbor does it, and like everybody's a distributor, and everybody knows about it, and everybody this and everybody that. And it, like, we could go to the grocery store and blitz 10 people and nobody's ever heard of it. So I totally agree. I think when you think about the amount of people in this whole big wide world, especially after opening in more and more countries every year, but yes, I'm on the same page is what I'm trying to say. So I think we should probably wrap it up, as awesome as this is, but do you want to give like one final tip maybe for somebody that's like struggling, like I feel like I have a lot of people lately that are coming to me saying like, I've been in this for a year now, Tricia, like my renewal's coming up, and I thought I would be farther by now. Like I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like how to not keep going. Like what would you say to those people?
I think I would say a lot of things. I'm a tough love kind of person. One thing we did a Zoom with my team last night, and one of the things that Danielle Mahar said, and I'll pass it along, using her words, is that essentially what she said is, don't give up on your goal. Just be willing to be flexible with the timeline that you achieve it. And, there were so many times along my journey, my enroller went ambassador in a year. My enroller has always been a top 20 money earner, all of these things. And so the game of comparison for me personally has been really hard, has been extreme. But I didn't quit because I got, at 12 months, I wasn't an ambassador. And so, you know, you have to be willing to allow your own journey to unfold. And the other thing that I would say to that is you have to be real with yourself. Ask yourself, am I really putting in the effort that it takes? I think when I wake up and I interact with my business with a negative mindset, what comes back is negative too, because my perspective is so messed up. And so really what I try to do, and I know this is a little bit warm fuzzy, which is not usually my thing, is I do try to start my day with some sort of mindset activity, you know, whether that's like yoga and whatever for you, whether it's a cup of coffee and your favorite talk show or reading or whatever it is, just to get your mindset straight. You know, our job is to put people into the computer. Our job is to enroll loyal customers and distributors. And so what I would say is go back to what you're passionate about. I feel like if it's been a while since I've wrapped, I'm going to wrap and I'm going to do a full treatment and I'm going to have awesome results and I'm going to want to share that, and then I'm going to get excited and I'm going to remember the passion that I have behind the products, and then I'm going to start posting more about the wraps because I'm excited and I'm passionate about it, and then people are going to start buying the wraps because they see that I'm passionate and excited about it, and then my paycheck is going to go up because I'm excited and passionate about it, and then people are going to want to join me because I'm making money and I'm passionate and excited about it. You know, it's all within your mindset. I really truly believe that. So find a product. If you know, it might be the products. If you don't believe in the product, you're not going to believe in the business opportunity. Relaunch yourself. Get around people who are accelerated in the business. You know, are you spending time in your chats with like people who are negative and who are embracing your negative Nancy stuff? And be accountable for that. And if you're around other people that are like that, you got to let them go. Because this is your business and your family. And that negative stuff isn't gonna, you know, is not gonna get you anywhere. And the other thing I would say too, Tricia, is to get to an event. I mean, the fact that you were, you know, you were struggling when you went to your first conference, look what it did for you. I think that that should be testimony enough to those people who are struggling to know that that's probably when you need it the most, to get to an event when you're struggling. What about you? You close us down. You shut it down.
I think you just like so nailed it. And like Mike always says, and if you're, I feel like he always says it at an event. So if you haven't gone to one, you probably haven't heard it. But whether you're having a good day or a terrible day, like you need to be there. Because if you're having a great day, the people that are there need to be around you. And if you're having a terrible day, then you need that event. So I don't know, and my team hears me preach it all day. I feel like I start in like April talking about conference again, you know, like it's just, that is single-handedly, I feel like the most important thing that I've ever done for my business is to stay plugged in. And whether that's team trainings or opportunity calls or YouTube videos or events like conference and boot camp and green carpet and OTOMs and, you know, whatever else, like those are the things. Like I just went, Ashley Sinclair was just here on Sunday doing like a little 3-hour training. Every time I go, I learn something new. Like somebody says something that I'm like, oh my gosh, like now I can work my business because I just learned this incredible, you know, whatever tip or trick or thought. And that's always my number one tip, is just to stay plugged in, like whether it's events or calls or Zooms or whatever. Like there is so much out there if you just utilize it. So I think we're totally on the same page. So
I love that. All right, YouTubers. Thanks. My girls do makeup tutorials. Just bear with me for a second. And they set up the iPad and they record themselves putting makeup on. And so I kind of have felt like I'm doing a makeup tutorial a little bit tonight. But at the end of their tutorial, they always do this. So I'm going to shut us down with this. Good night, YouTubies. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night, you guys. God bless.